The latest development is a tentative peace deal between the U.S. and Afghanistan that the Taliban says could be signed by the end of the month. And while one Middle East intelligence expert calls the effort weak, he admits it's past time for U.S. troops to go.
Will 10-year-old Americans be in Iraq 10 years from now? Yes, unless we get it right.
Middle East intelligence expert Michael Pregent says it's the same story in Afghanistan, where the U.S. has been fighting for 19 years across 3 presidential administrations. And Pregent tells us the main problem isn't necessarily in the Oval Office.
It's not the decision makers that are keeping us in these forever wars. It's the experts that are advising them.
And those advisors tend to stay around, outliving terms of elected officials. Pregent saw this during a Pentagon briefing the day after the U.S. killed Iranian General Qasem Soleimani.
There were several people that should not have been in that room that were there as experts that were actually advocating for their own business interests. They're advocating for their own portfolios. They're advocating for their contracts. And I've started a group called Veterans Against Forever Wars, where we're going to start vetting these experts that are briefing U.S. government to see whether or not they have business interests in these countries.
Pregent also offered insight into President Trump's communication strategy, especially on Twitter. For example, after Iran threatened revenge for Soleimani's death, a presidential tweet threatened Iranian cultural sites. That drew massive criticism because such an attack would violate international law. Pregent says the tweet carried a deeper purpose.
Because they moved their nuclear program into what they consider protected areas, which are cultural sites. So that was a message to Tehran, not a message to D.C. or our European allies. That first message the president sends is for the Iranian audience, the regime.
Pregent says the president will typically follow up with a message intended more for the people, as he did in this tweet. To the leaders of Iran, do not kill your protesters. Stop the killing of your great Iranian people. Pregent says it's all an effort on the president's part to garner support from civilians at home and abroad as the so-called forever wars rage on. In Washington, Eric Phillips, CBN News.